everybody, welcome back to class. Today we're going to be looking at vegan news. Check it out. Look what Dunkin' Donuts has. They are now starting to make 41 vegan donut flavors. Isn't that amazing? Well, actually, they're not called Dunkin' Donuts anymore. They're called Dunkin'. And, okay, so this might be only in Belgium for now. But we're going to hope that it's going to spread and end up in our neighborhoods, right? So the more that we promote vegan products, the more that these companies will make them. And that's why it's so important that people grab their ukuleles and stand outside McDonald's and sing the song that I sang, because of what I've done, many people are talking about veganism and many people are starting to understand that it is good for us and it is good for the environment and it is great for the animals. Everybody wins. Everybody wins. Nobody loses. Being vegan is awesome. So that's what you can do. Go and tell your local Dunkin' Donuts, if you have one, say, hey, I hear over in Belgium they're making vegan donuts. You guys should have some too. Everybody wins because everybody can eat vegan donuts. If you're allergic to eggs, eat vegan donuts. If you're allergic to milk, eat vegan donuts. If you don't want to be an asshole and you don't want to hurt animals, eat vegan donuts, because we have no right to exploit these animals. We have no right to take away their milk and kill their babies so that we can steal their milk and then consume it ourselves. So vegan donuts is a great solution. And we don't want to also take the eggs away from chickens. So this is amazing. Look what else we have here. Nutritional yeast. Do you know what nutritional yeast is? If you don't, you should really get some. I have this all the time in my fridge. See, it's like little flakes. And you can put it on all kinds of things. I'll tell you what it says here. Yeast protein contains all 9 essential amino acids, making it a protein champion. So it contains 9 of them. Let's go over here. Okay, so it's another name for it is nooch, has quickly become the vegan holy grail. For those who don't know, nutritional yeast has an addictive cheesy taste and it is rich in B vitamins. So let's talk about how they make it. It's an inactive form of yeast, the same strain of yeast used in baking and brewing, but inactivated with heat, so it's no longer alive. The yeast is grown in vats of molasses, providing sugar and water. As long as it's supplied with plenty of sugar, the yeast will grow, digesting the sugar and releasing carbon dioxide and ethanol. The same yeast reaction is used in bread making, where it helps the dough to rise, and in beer and wine production, where it turns sugar into alcohol. Once the yeast has grown and is considered mature, it is separated from the liquid, spread out on a conveyor belt, exposed to heat, whoosh, that inactivates it, and then dried and broken down. The end result is those little flakes you already know, or if you don't, perhaps you should. So what does it offer? Well, nutritional yeast is a B vitamin gold mine. We need B group vitamins to be able to absorb and process energy, protein, and fats from food. They are essential to cell growth, a healthy skin, nerve function, and red blood cell production. It sounds like an amazing superfood. Nooch is naturally rich in all B vitamins apart from B12, because that is produced by bacteria. That's why you need a supplement when you're vegan. You just take a little supplement and you're fine. Better than killing an animal. Each commercial product has different content of B vitamins because the manufacturing process and conditions vary. However, all of them are a good source of B vitamins and contain iron, fiber, and protein. Yeast contains all 9 essential amino acids. How many? How many does the yeast contain? The yeast protein, it contains 9 essential amino acids, making it a protein champion. Adding 1 tablespoon to your meal, just a tablespoon, okay, just scoop out the little powder, will add 3 to 4 grams of protein. Not bad for a few delicious flakes. And it almost melts in your mouth. It's incredible that it has that much protein in such a little amount. The fiber in nutritional yeast contains beta-glucans, natural components of yeast cell walls. These are pretty special in that they stimulate your immune system and strengthen it against bacterial, viral, fungal, or parasitic infections by priming your white blood cells, the immune system soldiers, making them more effective. Sounds great, right? Beta-glucans have also been known to have anti-cancer properties. So there you go. Eat some nutritional yeast and it has anti-cancer properties. Who wouldn't want that? They help regulate blood sugar levels. They can lower cholesterol, especially important for those at risk of heart disease. Well, vegans are not really at risk of heart disease, are we? I mean, unless we have some hereditary problems. But vegans are known to be extremely healthy if they eat properly. Of course, don't eat vegan donuts all day. Those should be a snack reserved for once in a while. Just rarely, right? Because they have a lot of fat and they have a lot of sugar in them. And I don't eat them that often. Yeah, so what else? Cancer property, they help regulate blood sugar levels, can lower cholesterol, especially important for those at risk of heart disease. On top of all this, they make the friendly bacteria in your intestines thrive. And although we don't usually eat nutritional yeast for its fiber, it is an added benefit, right? So we're going to talk about the microbiome of our gut, prebiotics and probiotics and things like that. Those are in other videos. Vitamin B12. Many nutritional products are fortified with vitamin B12 so that you get the complete B vitamin spectrum, like instant soy milk and things like that. B12 is produced by bacteria and is widespread in the environment, but commercially it is also grown in vats, so is readily available and easy to add to the yeast before the final processing. It integrates into the yeast mixture and becomes a natural part of the flakes. Some people rely on nutritional yeast for their B12 intake. Okay, so you can rely on it, but if you're not eating that every single day, then you do need a supplement. Let's just be clear about that, okay? And some people also take, like I said, soy milk has B vitamins and B12. You just really don't want to be the kind of person who's not careful with your B12 because, you know, being vegan is awesome, but you got to have that little supplement, and it's not a big deal. So so just B12, it's a nutritional yeast. If that's you, always check the package to see if you're buying the fortified variety. Okay, so some types of the nutritional yeast might not have the B12 added. So just make sure for that. And usually you'll see it's on there, and you really don't need that much to make a huge difference. 1 tablespoon provides the recommended daily dose, 1.5 to 4 micrograms. But it's been suggested that we should take as much as 50 micrograms of B12 a day, as we don't absorb all we eat. Okay, so that means if you're taking it in, it goes down your intestines, it ends up plopping out into the toilet. It doesn't all get absorbed properly. So that's why you got to take a bit extra. Yeast extract. How does the yeast extract compare nutritionally with nutritional yeast? It also starts off as yeast growing in a vat, or sometimes leftover brewery yeast is used, but the process by which it's made is different. Anyways, we're not going to get into all this. You guys can read this article if you want to later, but I just wanted to show you a little bit about nutritional yeast and about the donuts, and also about fur this week. With fur, we have here iconic luxury department store Saks Fifth Avenue pledges to ditch fur. This is amazing. Before I went on TikTok, we used to go and protest the fur industry, how terrible it is. We were protesting outside of Rudsack, outside of Canada Goose, and some of my colleagues here are still doing that here in Montreal. Canada Goose is a terrible, terrible place. I have a pamphlet here, actually. Canada Goose cruelty in every stitch. Look at this poor sweetheart. You see that? Her paw is stuck in this terrible trap. Now, you can't tell by looking at an animal if they're suffering or not. This animal is suffering. This is what kills me. You know, people look at Bella's face when she's sitting there, just normal, and they're like, oh my God, she looks sad. Look, if you're just looking at this animal's face, you cannot tell that she's in complete distress. Many of these poor, innocent coyotes are trying desperately to get back to their babies. They have babies that need them, that need their milk. And they're wandering around trying to find food. And then they get stuck into this trap. The traps are put there by terrible companies who just want to rip off their skin and use it as a decoration on a coat. It's despicable. Anytime you see somebody wearing a Canada Goose coat, you should tell them, say to them, do you realize how much suffering went into your coat? Do you realize that you don't need a decoration? This fur on your coat? Come on. Anyway, that's for another time. But don't forget also that Canada Goose or whatever coat you're buying, you don't want to get something with feathers inside, because that is also a terrible thing that they do. They pack these poor babies. Look, they shove them all into a giant crates, many crates, and they cram them in there, and they are suffering. They're all crammed in together, and they're terrified. They have no food and no water, and they're on their way to be murdered. Can you imagine if that was you? We need to have empathy. We need to open our hearts to these animals. And thankfully, this company finally smartened up and decided to stop putting fur into their stores. They got protested so many times. People went in there with their signs and they yelled these slogans about fur and how it's murder. They went up and down the escalators and all around. And, people sometimes laugh at them. They laugh at animal rights activists and they get them banned and they censor them. But you know what? You cannot stop us. We were always going to pop up everywhere because animals need a voice and we have a heart. And we have no choice because we were born vegan, we were born kind, and we can't change that. We were born knowing that it is wrong to hurt animals, and when we finally woke up to that, we started becoming activists. Everybody should be a vegan animal rights activist. Everybody. The world should not change to become vegan just because of money, just because they've invented these amazing vegan products. That's not what we need. We don't need a world that's just going to change because of money. We need a world of compassionate people who are going to care. Because there's always going to be problems with money in the world, but we need to be able to look beyond that and look at the ethics behind things. Anyways, I thank you all so much for coming to our little lesson here about what's in the news. And make sure that if you haven't yet subscribed, that you go ahead here and subscribe to my channel here, which is That Vegan Teacher here. And if you want to find me on Instagram, I'm thatveganteachermisskadie, Kadie. And as always, make sure you give yourself a hug. Here we go. Ready, go. Big hug. Pat yourself on the back. Why are you doing this? Push hard. Okay, not just a wimpy hug. You know how they tell you give a strong, firm handshake, not just like a little wimpy one. Okay, same thing when you're giving yourself a hug. Go in there and grab yourself and push hard. Like ground yourself. Tell yourself that you are worthy of love because the animals need you to be strong and full of love, and they need you to be brave and to be vegan. They need you to walk down the aisles of the store and to only put veggies, fruits, nuts, and seeds and grains in your shopping cart because peace begins on your plate. So you have to open up your heart. And how do you open up your heart? You start by loving yourself. Okay? Give yourself a big squeeze. Feed yourself healthy vegan foods. Love yourselves. And come back and see me with a big smile on your face. Okay? Walk into this class every day with a smile on your face and say, "Hi, friends." Get yourself comfy. Grab a vegan snack. You're always allowed to eat vegan foods in my classroom. And as usual, here's my mug. Cow's milk is for baby cows. Don't forget it. Cow's milk is for baby cows. And you should have a mug like this. In fact, I'm about to put one of these on my merch store. So get ready for that because it makes a great gift for people too. All right? Take care and I will see you in the next video. Do 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 do.